First test will be on Monday. It will be open book, but no laptops, no cell phones. Okay, and if I find two students collaborating via piece of paper the old-fashioned way, both will get in trouble. Okay, so make sure you can bring as many papers as you feel like it. The format will be simple, short questions. So for example, I may give you some partial code, ask you to complete the code, or I may ask you to write a small segment of code, usually not more than 7-8 lines of code. So try to go through all the lectures, make sure you understand all the concepts. And the material will be including today's lecture. So today I'll cover a few important things. There'll be definitely some questions. There will definitely be some questions on writing database code, so make sure you feel comfortable with it. Okay, and of course indexers. Today I will cover generics, so try to pay good attention. Okay, interfaces. Okay, lists. Array lists is as operators. Okay, general inheritance. Make sure you understand all the keywords that we had discussed. For example, override, abstract, virtual. When do you apply which keyword, right? Okay, so try to prepare nicely, and rather than printing every lecture, every handout, my suggestion would be, just bring 2-3 pages of some code that you feel difficult writing. But if you print out everything, you won't have enough time to go take a look at, oh, how did I do this, and then write the answer. Okay? So create a summary for whatever code that you need to remind yourself of. Okay? Okay, so now today I'll cover a few important topics. First one is, oops, I misspelled it, displaying multiple forms. Okay, so as we discussed last time, we can easily create menus. Menus behave like buttons, right? Through one of the menus, we can display more than one form. Each form has a class associated with it, right? So once we display forms, either we show them in modal manner or modeless manner. So what's the difference between the two? Modal form, and sometimes people call it dialogue. Dialogue is another word for form. Okay, requires complete attention from the user. Okay, meaning either you submit the form or you close the form. Okay, the application cannot continue until this form disappears. Okay, the application cannot continue until the form disappears. Okay, on the other hand, modeless form can coexist with other forms. Okay, so you can click on the main form, do something on it, click on the modeless form, do something on it, right? Okay, so to give you a very quick example of a modal modeless, okay, suppose I launch Word. Okay, once I launch Word, right? Suppose I go File, Open. Okay, so you'll see this is like a form that pops up, right? There's a list box over here. There are some buttons over here, right? Okay, so once this form appears, if I try to go to click anywhere, you'll see it won't let me do anything. So this form has the complete attention, right? So if I click, nothing can be done until either I pick a file or I close this. Once I close this, then I can go select something from the menu, type something, right? Okay, so File Open dialog is an example of a modal form, okay? To give you an example of a modeless form, suppose I go, let me go back. Okay, suppose I try to search for something. So if I hit Control F, okay, so see over here, there's another form that pops up, right? Now I can type something over there. I can go to the main form, keep typing, right? So both of them are coexisting. So this search dialog is an example of a modeless dialog, okay? So how do we create modal or modeless dialogues of ourselves? Okay, pretty easy. In both cases, we will add it to our application like a new form, okay? But when we try to display it, a modal form is displayed as displayed using show dialog call. Okay, a modeless form is displayed using show call. So let me go and create one small example and show you how easy it is to create modal and modeless. Okay, so if I go to Visual Studio, okay, if I create a new project, and then if I pick Visual C#, Windows Forms application, from the drop down I go to Fall 2015 folder and write modal modeless. So I'll give you a quick example of modal and modeless. Okay. Anyway, Windows Forms application, Visual C#. So once I click OK, okay, now suppose you were trying to create a database-driven application and you wanted to add a new student to the database, right? So remember, and let's pretend the student has 5 fields, first name, last name, ID, test 1, test 2, right? So you wanted the user to be able to type the 5 pieces of information through a form, right? So in that case, what we'll do is right-click on the project. We will say Add New Item. Okay, so now I'll pick a Windows form so that through this form we can specify creating a new student. So if I pick a Windows form, and let's call it form new student. So you can give it some meaningful name, right? So I picked a Windows form to be added to the project. So now I have 2 forms, right? So first let me design the second form. So form new student. So here the idea is to have 5 text boxes. So if I go to the toolbox, through all Windows forms, I'll locate a text box. These are alphabetical. So I'll pick a text box. If I double click on it, it will draw it. Let me move it somewhere over here. Then if I go over here, pick a label. Okay, draw it over here, right? And since I need 5 pieces of information, okay, by holding the control key, let me select both the text box as well as the label. Okay, so once both are selected, I'll just right click on one of these and copy, and then paste it 4 times. So paste, move it here, paste, move it here, paste, and one more paste. Right? So now let's give them some meaningful names to the text boxes. So if I select the first text box and click on alphabetical, go to the name property. So first one will be named txt first name. Remember, the convention is when you're creating a user interface, if it's a text box, you'll start it with a 3-letter prefix txt. If it's a button, 3-letter prefix btn, and followed by some meaningful name, right? So then if I select the second one, okay, through this I'll be collecting txt last name. Select the third one, txt id. Select the fourth one, txt test1, and fifth one, txt test2, right? And then labels, you don't have to give them any name because they are simply to help the user find out what this text box is for. So I'll select the label, and rather than giving it a name property, I'll just give it a text property. Okay, so for the first label, I'll say first space name. For the second label, last name. For the third label, ID. For the fourth label, test1. For the fifth label, test2, right? Okay, and now let me go to the toolbox, double click on a button. So I'll click one button for submitting, and one more button if the user decide to cancel. Okay, so one button for submitting. So left button, I will give it a name of BTN cancel.